Louisa woke up to the cold. Her legs had gone numb, and her teeth had started to chatter. God, where is that blanket, and why is it so hard? Did I fall out of bed? Adam. She called loudly, but she couldn't hear her own voice. There was only a hoarse rasp that turned into a whistle. She felt both scared and amused by her own helplessness. Louisa was good at laughing at herself, particularly enjoying self-deprecation. Her humor was always sharp, sometimes ironic and biting. A few phrases were enough for her to corner her conversation partner. Adam. Louisa repeated confidently, opening her eyes. Adam was not there. He didn't spend the night at home again. Louisa spat out angrily. Always off somewhere. Did he get drunk or something? Louisa removed the sheet that was covering her, and she found herself wrapped in it for some reason. The room was dimly lit with a cool atmosphere. No, she certainly wasn't at home. Was this some kind of strange dream? Louisa sat up abruptly and looked around. There were gurneys with bodies covered in white cloth surrounding her. The morgue. She blinked rapidly and stifled a scream by pressing her hand to her mouth. She had never been this scared in her life. Her back ached from the uncomfortable metal gurney, and she moved her shoulders, trying to figure out if this was a dream. And if it wasn't, what should she do? The morgue, she whispered. Her heartbeat quickened. Damn it! Louisa jumped off the gurney onto the cold tile floor and cursed again. She was completely naked, with no underwear left. Someone help! Louisa grabbed the sheet from the gurney and wrapped it around herself like a towel. This gave her a bit of courage. She exhaled loudly and headed towards the gray, shiny door. From underneath the sheet in front of her, a lifeless male hand was sticking out. Louisa suddenly felt a wave of nausea, but she managed to hold it in. She quickly opened the door, which gave way easily, and stepped into the adjacent room. Dim bulbs lit the space. On the right were sectional refrigeration units, and Louisa mentally thanked those who had brought her here that she wasn't already inside one of them. She didn't know how to get out of the refrigeration unit. In fact, she didn't know how to get out of the morgue at all. Suddenly, her head started spinning, and when she reached the next door, she sat down on the floor to catch her breath. This is madness. She pulled her knees to her chest and groaned. Who could have put her here? Why? She bit her finger painfully to make sure she wasn't dreaming. The bite stung. No, she whispered. This isn't a dream. Help me. God, is anyone here? Louisa exhaled loudly. She tried to remember how she ended up here. Maybe she had been in a car accident, and they mistakenly put her here without checking for a pulse. Louisa had read about such cases. Furthermore, she had heard about a boy named Lucas from Spain who was put in the morgue after a motorcycle accident. His mother, arriving at the morgue in hysteria, started slapping him on the cheeks, and he woke up. I need to remember everything. I have to. Louisa tried to stand up, but her legs betrayed her and she ended up back on the cold tile floor. Her head, unlike her legs, was growing hot. The last thing I need is to lose consciousness here. Louisa helplessly lay face down on the floor, pressing her forehead against the tile. She glanced at the clock on the wall. It was 2 a.m. Louisa prayed for just one thing: that the morgue wouldn't be closed for the entire night and that she wouldn't have to spend the rest of the night here. As her thoughts started to clear, she suddenly remembered walking home from work in the evening and then being knocked out by something or someone. Not just knocked out, she had been grabbed and a rag had been pressed to her nose, and then she passed out. In movies, people are usually kidnapped and a ransom is demanded. What could be demanded by stuffing someone in the morgue? Adam was probably searching everywhere for her. If she's locked in here, she'd be found at best in the morning, and hopefully still alive. She felt so terrible. Behind her, Louisa saw a small metal table with documents. Hoping to find a phone, she mustered all her strength and approached it, but there was no phone in sight. She picked up the papers from the table. They were autopsy reports from the morgue. Louisa involuntarily smirked. Patients? Yeah, right. She opened one of the reports and brought it closer to the lit lamp. The autopsy results: Lloyd Damon, male, 34 years old. Cause of death was a traumatic brain injury from a gunshot wound. Marcia Wilbo, female, 88 years old. Cause of death was a cerebral hemorrhage. Louisa Martinez, female, 43 years old. Cause of death was a heroin overdose. Wait, heroin overdose? Louisa read the entry again. She couldn't believe her eyes. How could she have overdosed on heroin? She had never tried anything like that in her life. As a teenager, she had only tried smoking some kind of weed once, and it made her vomit all night. That was the extent of her drug experience. Could it be? Oh God, no, not this. Is someone trying to kill me? She said too loudly. Louisa looked around at the refrigeration units in horror, as if the dead could somehow reveal her terrible secret. She bolted for the door, but suddenly she heard the sound of approaching footsteps. There were two people, and they were talking loudly. What did you write in the report? As we agreed, Mr. Martinez. The autopsy report states that your wife's death was due to an opioid overdose. Does that version work for you? Perfectly. Louisa suddenly realized she had hardly been breathing all this time and nearly choked. She took a deep breath and glanced around. She had only a few seconds. Hiding under the table would be pointless. She'd be found there quickly. Louisa dashed to the refrigerators, opened the first one she found, which, fortunately, was empty, and jumped inside, pushing herself forcefully. The door didn't close completely, but it would be hard to see her from outside without getting close. Louisa prayed they wouldn't check the gurney she had been on, otherwise, everything would become clear immediately. She was lying there when the outer door suddenly swung open, and Louisa heard Adam's footsteps and, apparently, the pathologist he was talking to. Here's the report. Wait, where is it? Louisa's heart sank. She wasn't sure if she had arranged the report results in the correct order. All she could hear was the rustling of papers as the doctor shuffled through them. Ah yes, here it is. Here you go. Thank you kindly. Well then, goodbye. Hold on a moment, it's your turn now, Mr. Martinez. What are you talking about, Hicks? About the money, of course. I received your deposit on Wednesday. Today, you were supposed to bring me another $150,000. Hicks, I've already told you, the money will be here. When? In a couple of days, I promise. One day, I'm giving you one day, Mr. Martinez. Noted. So, will you show me my dear wife so I can be sure you're not lying to me? As you wish, here you go. Hicks opened the door to the next room, hesitated for a moment, and waved vaguely. She's lying on the gurney over there. Are you sure you want to take a look? It's not exactly a pleasant sight. Louisa's heart felt like it was about to leap out of her chest. They were standing near the exit, barely a meter from her refrigeration unit. She felt like she was breathing too loudly, so she held her breath. She was terrified to move. Any movement would give her away, and she dreaded to think what would happen then. Most likely, they would just kill her with the substance described in the report. It was strange how she had even managed to wake up. Or was this the afterlife? And if it was, why was she so scared? Deaths don't come in twos, but as long as she wasn't sure of that, as long as there was any suspicion that she was still alive, she had to fight for her life. God, it's so cold. Well then, let's skip it. I've had enough stress for today. Especially since my girlfriend Rita is pregnant. His girlfriend is pregnant? His girlfriend? What the hell is he talking about? All the pieces in Louisa's mind suddenly came together. Of course. Why would he want her dead if not to start life anew, remain a happy widower with all the inheritance, and begin a new life with Rita, the housekeeper? My God, what a twist. Louisa knew about Adam's affairs and had forgiven him this weakness. They had a sort of open relationship, but Adam was allowed to do everything while she was only permitted light flirting, which often drove Adam into a rage. Damn possessive jerk. And now? Love with Rita? What about their love, her endless tears at night, and waiting for him in the empty marital bed? She was ready to swear that despite all this, he loved her. But Rita was not just a fling, it was a full-blown affair that had unfolded right under her nose without her even suspecting it. How blind could she have been? All the best. I've opened the door for you, Mr. Martinez. You can leave. Hicks pressed a clever combination of buttons and let Adam out. Before leaving, Adam whispered something in his ear, and the pathologist slammed the door behind him. Louisa slowly licked her cold, dry lips. This must be what a dead person's lips taste like, she thought. The coded lock. God, she would never get out of the morgue. The pathologist made sure his client had left and quietly said, "Come out, I saw you." Louisa bit her frozen lip. She stayed silent. She wasn't sure if this was directed at her or someone else, but given that the other clients of this place were eerily silent, the conclusion was obvious. "Come out, Louisa." He approached the refrigerator and pulled her out. Louisa was met by a stern face with thick black-framed glasses, framed by dense black curls. "He's gone," the pathologist said. "But you're still here." Louisa snapped. She clasped her hands together and struck him in the face with all her strength. The doctor fell, startled by the blow, and howled in pain. Louisa jumped on top of him, ripping off the sheet from her body. As he tried to get up, she tied his hands behind his back with the sheet. "Move and I'll kill you. I've got nothing to lose, I'm a corpse," she shouted, grabbing a metal lamp from the table. The doctor, complying, remained lying on the floor. Louisa yanked the cord from the lamp and tied his legs together with several knots. "Wait, calm down," the doctor began soothingly. His glasses were askew, and his curls were tousled. "Oh, I'm as calm as a snake," Louisa retorted. "It's your problem now." "I definitely have problems," the doctor nodded. "And so do you. We can solve them together. First of all, you're naked." Louisa suddenly realized she was standing completely naked in front of a stranger. "But you've seen plenty of beauties around here, so I'm neither the first nor the last." "Your body is certainly flawless, Louisa, but spare me the view of your charms. This is neither the time nor the place. There's a metal cabinet behind you with 2 clean suits, green and white. Take the top of one and the bottom of the other. There are work slippers at the bottom. Why all the fuss? And where's my own clothing? You'll attract less attention on the street this way. Your clothes were given to your husband." Louisa opened the cabinet. It indeed held 2 suits. She took the white top from one suit and the green bottom from the other. The clothing was several sizes too big, and she had to roll up the pants and sleeves of the new white shirt. She felt a bit better in the clothes. It'll be a miracle if I don't catch a cold, she thought. My name is Diego. I can't say it's very pleasant to meet you, Louisa snapped. She sat in his chair and opened the desk. After rummaging for a few minutes, she found a flask and some cigarettes. She put the cigarettes back in the drawer and asked, "Do you mind?" "Go ahead. It's tequila, it'll warm you up quickly." Louisa took a few swigs from the bottle and finally exhaled. She was alive, and she was in relative safety. Now, she just needed to convince the pathologist to let her go. "Could you untie me?" he asked. "I'll explain right away. It's cold lying on the floor." "And do you think I wasn't cold lying over there?" she said angrily, pointing at the refrigerator. "I'm very sorry." "Oh, Lord, have we suddenly become sympathetic?" Louise shot Diego a withering look. Diego sighed loudly, awkwardly sitting up with his knees pressed to his chest. "All right, go ahead and tell me what you wanted to say, and then I'll decide what to do with you." Louise took another swig from the flask. A pleasant warmth spread through her body, but she couldn't afford to lose control. She capped the flask and stuffed it into her pocket. "My name is Diego Hicks, but everyone calls me D. I'm a pathologist." "I already figured that out." "What next?" "Were you planning to kill me?" "If I were planning to kill you, you'd already be dead," Diego said with a smirk. "Your husband, Adam Martinez, ordered your murder as a debt payment. I owed him a large sum of money. In return, he promised to clear my debt and pay me extra for my services." "You kill people for money?" Louise grimaced. "No, I might be the last scoundrel and rogue, but I'm not a killer." "So why did he come to you specifically?" "Because. Besides, I actually had to kill someone once." "But what about the butts?" Louise shouted. "He was a very bad guy. Oh yes, I almost forgot my nephew's favorite saying, 'When will all the good people come together and kill all the bad ones?' Do you only kill the bad guys? Almost like Robin Hood?" "It happened only once. It was a contract killing." "Did you give him the injection you were going to give me?" "Yes, the injection. And I wasn't planning to give you such an injection. But in my report, it says exactly that. It's written in black and white that death resulted from a heroin overdose." "That's correct, but it's just a cover-up. I injected you with a strong sleeping pill and hoped you would sleep until morning, after which I would let you go into a new life. I repeat, I am not a killer, Louise." He raised his voice. "If I wanted to kill you, you'd be lying in that refrigerator right now." Louise slowly approached Diego and untied him. "Just like that, you'll let me go?" "Yes. I'm really sorry you got hurt, but I couldn't act any other way. The main thing is that Adam doesn't find out you're alive, understood?" "Understood. But what am I supposed to do now? Without a home, family, and a penny to my name? Do you mind?" He carefully pulled the flask from her pocket and, rubbing his nose, downed its contents in one gulp. "Now we're going to my friend's place. He won't be home for another week. You'll be relatively safe there." His friend's house turned out to be large and spacious. The first floor looked more like a jumble with tangled vines than a living space. Louise smiled. "The bathroom is over there. You can take some clothes from the closet." Luis is a slim guy, so his clothes should fit you perfectly. "Thanks," Louise replied curtly. When she came out of the bathroom, wrapped in the unfamiliar yellow bathrobe, Diego was already gone. On the kitchen table was a note, "Gone to finish his shift. I'll be back by 10. Louise collapsed onto the nearest sofa and instantly fell asleep. She dreamed she was running away from some huge, angry dog. The doorbell rang so loudly and unexpectedly that Louise didn't immediately understand what was happening. After a few seconds, she slipped into her slippers and ran to answer the door. On the doorstep stood the considerably disheveled pathologist with large brown bags. Diego, he reminded her with a sheepish smile. "I remember," she said with a half smile, a charming dimple appearing on her cheek. "Sorry for the trouble. My hands are full." "No problem. Thanks for saving me. I really appreciate it." "No need to thank me. I partly got you into this mess." "No, my husband got me into this mess, and anyone else could have been in your place. And then I'd probably be a corpse by now. This is our breakfast. I didn't know what you liked, so I brought both pizza and rolls. Is that okay? Is there coffee? We'll find some." The rolls turned out to be hot and literally melting in her mouth. "Why are you helping me? Wouldn't it have been easier to just kill me right there at your work?" "First of all, as I already said, I'm not a killer, and I'm not going to burden my already troubled conscience with the murder of an innocent woman. Secondly, I liked you. Seeing you peacefully asleep, I saw some kind of otherworldly purity in you." "More like nudity," Louise retorted. "You have the body of an 18-year-old girl," Diego smiled. "But that doesn't change anything. It's your expression. I saw the face of a sleeping child. I can't kill a child. Were you planning to?" "To be honest, I thought about it. But when they brought in the body of a dead homeless woman from under the bridge, everything fell into place. No one will miss her, so you're officially dead, Louise, sorry. The body will be cremated, and that's the end of it. Everything's already arranged. You have no choice but to start a new life. It's not as simple as you think. I understand. Starting a new life under a different name from scratch is tough. But if Adam finds out you're alive, he'll track you down and kill you. I get that. But right now I'm talking about you, buddy. If you think my greedy husband will just fork over another $150,000, you're mistaken. He didn't beat you up for nothing." "What do you mean by that?" "I mean," Louise took a sip of coffee, pushed her long hair back, and sighed heavily. "It would be easier for him to get rid of you than to pay." Diego scratched the back of his head through his gathered black curls. "So what do we do now?" Louise shrugged. "But I'm at least dead. No one will miss me. It's a good thing my father lost his mind a long time ago, otherwise he'd be going crazy. I never thought I'd be thinking like this. You know, we both need to leave. I was planning to do it alone, but it seems fate wants to drive both of us out of the state. What do you think about that?" "Diego." Louise repeated. Diego remained silent and grim. He hadn't anticipated such a turn of events. He knew Adam was a swindler and a coward, but killing his own wife through someone else, and then disposing of the killer and sole witness in one fell swoop, seemed more than logical. Moreover, Adam loved money more than anything in the world, and parting with it in this situation while leaving a witness alive would be not just foolish, but dangerous. Yeah, the situation is looking grim. But I'll try to come up with something. Suddenly, a large bird flew into the window. Louise flinched. She felt like she was in the place of that bird and shivered. The bird fell and then soared back into the sky. Louise felt a bit better. Thought it was a jungle, no wonder, Diego smirked. Louise is quite the character. Are you scared, Dee? Very. I also need to get in touch with my friend Shelley. If she can get us new documents, it will be easier. Are you sure she won't turn us in? You hurt my feelings, Dee forced a smile. He was trying to stay calm, and it was difficult. All right, fair enough. Give my dear husband a few more days, and he'll wait to kill you. He needs to see it through. I understand he won't rush to get rid of me today. But once you're buried... Sorry, Louise. It's probably unpleasant for you to hear this. Oh, it's fine. As soon as I'm buried, he'll immediately hire someone, so ideally, we need to get out of here in a few days. How about Los Angeles? It will be easier to disappear in a big city. I was thinking of leaving the country altogether. Maybe Mexico? There, they'll accept us Latinos as one of their own. No, Dee. As long as my father is alive, I'm not leaving. You said he's not in his right mind. It doesn't matter. He's my father. I could leave and take him with me, but I have another issue here. Louise nervously tugged at the door handle, trying to open it. The door wouldn't budge. Diego, he said, gently pushing her aside. Some doors open inward. Sounds like sarcasm, Louise retorted. The men's jeans bothered her with their wrongness. They fastened on the other side, and it was driving her nuts. She wore dark sunglasses, her hair was pulled back into a ponytail, something she never did. She had to get rid of her usual image somehow. If anyone recognized her, she could be in trouble. Sorry, now isn't the time for sarcasm, Diego cut her off. They exited the house and jumped into a well-worn black Chevrolet. You know, I feel like I'm in a movie. Me too, considering I've barely slept the last day. Everything feels like a dream, especially with your husband and all this drama. Dee, thank you so much. Stop it, I'm one of the sources of your problems. We've discussed this. You're a victim of circumstances. I don't know how you got tangled up in all this, but you're a really good person, and you don't deserve any of this. I'm really sorry Adam dragged you into it. Diego was gone for about half an hour. When he returned from Shelley, he was holding a woman's wig and a dress for Louisa. No, Dee, I can't stand the wig anymore. Please, it's so hot already. Louisa, do you want to live? She nodded frequently, sighed, and took the wig. But it's summer now, you'll manage. Change into it. I can see that you're uncomfortable in men's clothes. Later, you can just dye your hair. What? Change right here. Right here. I'll turn away. The light black dress with small white flowers looked amusing on her. Louisa glanced at herself in the mirror and smirked. She was no longer Louisa. Louisa never wore anything colorful. She despised any pattern on clothing and considered it tasteless. But now, she was no longer Louisa, more like an intermediate transforming persona. Ready, she said, putting on the wig and becoming a blonde. I'll just dye my hair. Okay, when you dye it, then you can take off the wig. Put on your glasses, we're going to my place. Oh my God. For now, I'm more or less inconspicuous, if anyone asks. You're my sister Mirabelle, no one has seen her here. Will you help me gather my things? Of course, go ahead. We can stop by my place. Are you crazy? I'd also like to grab something. Let's make sure Adam isn't home. Oh right, there are cameras. Actually, forget about it. Besides, where would you get the keys? How will you open the door? The keys are in the flower bed in front of the house. We always left a spare set there. No, that's too dangerous. Besides, Rita might be at home. Exactly. I didn't think of that, but I still want to go by the house. There's one thing. What's wrong with you, Louisa? You just came back from the dead and want to risk your life again? No risk. Adam should be at work now. Rita, even if she's at home, won't see me. The view from the window is awkward. I decided not to enter the house, just in case. I need to retrieve something very important. God, what could be so important that it's worth the risk if you won't tell me? I'm not going to be part of this dubious venture. I hid some family jewels in one of the flower beds for a rainy day, in case we were robbed, accounts frozen, or in case your own husband decided to get rid of you. I couldn't foresee this. Louisa smiled sadly. Sorry, bad joke. It's just the right time. I messed up myself. I've put up with that scoundrel for so many years. You're not to blame for anything. So, will you come with me? Do you have Stockholm Syndrome? Diego slowed down near his house and stared out the window. We can get a good amount of money for these jewels. It'll be enough to sort out new documents and get out of the city safely. You help me, I help you, then each of us goes our own way, okay? Diego nodded uncertainly. His house was in complete chaos. Oh my God, what's this? Luisa's feet were stuck to the floor. She reluctantly pried her toe off the floor and found a candy there. It's from the neighbor's kid, Diego whispered awkwardly, as if someone might overhear. You said you didn't socialize with anyone here, Luisa said, surprised. No one except the Ronalds. But they're no longer here. They left the city a few days ago and sold the house to some crazy guy with a guitar. Diego quickly packed a backpack and handed Luisa a violet from the windowsill. Oh my God, what's this for? Luisa groaned, smiling. I'm not leaving it here, understand? It's my violet, it's all I have. This is a rental, there's nothing of mine here except for clothes. Of course. There you go, Louisa. My whole life fits into one backpack. Just need to scribble a note for the landlady, leave her money for the rent. We won't lock the door, I'm absolutely sure. I don't want to be seen here anymore. You know, I like that. What exactly, Louisa? That you're not materialistic. People sometimes become so attached to things that it's no longer the person using the object, but the object that controls the person. I've always feared that. My ex used to cling to every dollar and every item. Sometimes, you know, I wanted to throw all her trinkets away and see what would happen. She'd probably cry and writhe on the floor as if in physical pain. Diego smiled sadly. They got into the car and drove off. They needed to retrieve the jewels before Adam came back from work. And you can be cynical and cruel, of course. I'm a pathologist, Diego smiled. To be honest, I've never dealt with pathologists before, Luisa remarked. You know, you've missed a bit. Luisa burst out laughing. I'll still make it. Yeah, it's left here, right? Go straight. You know, I like my new dress. It's just a bit unusual. I like it too. Everything suits a scoundrel. What are you hinting at? Nothing but your natural beauty, Dee winked. Luisa's black eyebrows shot up when he smiled. She remembered that he had seen her completely naked less than a day ago and blushed deeply. She was ready to sink into the ground. Remember our new names, I'm Ed, and you're Lily Berg. Berg? That's the last thing we needed. What don't you like? It's a lovely surname. Well, it's kind of mad. Fine, it'll do. By the way, the name Ted suits you better than Diego, honestly. You don't look Latino at all. Well, only if you consider the curls. That's perfect. Actually, I'm not entirely. My grandfather was from Mexico. Can I call you Ted? You can, Lily. It works both ways. Of course. I'm not the only one suffering here. Since we're starting a new life, it's time to change. I won't be going back to work. Everything is arranged. I'll check how your funeral went. Not my funeral, but Luisa Martinez's funeral. Oh right, Liburg. The funeral of that poor Martinez. The documents will be ready by Wednesday, after which we'll head to Los Angeles. It's about a 2-day drive from here, so prepare for a long journey. Okay. Maybe we should gather a few more things? Don't joke around. I know you don't have any belongings. We need to wrap everything up here by Wednesday, and now we have serious business to attend to. Please focus. Of course, Teddy. Oh, how sweet. Luisa Lily, Diego gave her a light tap on the head. I said serious business. Pull yourself together, Lily Berg. Yes, I'm ready. It's just that when you're about to die, you stop being afraid of anything. Understood. Lily came to terms with her new name. She would no longer be Luisa, she was no longer a loser. She was a winner. She had survived and was ready to fight for her life. Now she loved life, loved it like she never had before. Are you ready? Lily nodded. 1 minute, I'm mentally talking to Luisa. Just what I needed, a bit of bipolarity. Dee took her hand. Everything's fine. Oh, Ted, I'm going. I'm with you. We had an agreement. No, you'll wait for me here. She got out of the car, adjusting her dark glasses on the bridge of her nose. Luisa dialed the familiar, painful numbers. When the gate opened, her heart sank. She saw a woman's figure in the house. Rita. She spat out angrily. She imagined barging into the house, attacking the unsuspecting housekeeper, and starting to destroy everything. Luisa struggled to suppress the urge to enter the house. She walked around to the side and headed straight for the flower bed. The figure in blue darted through the house toward her. Did Rita spot her? Luisa held her breath and crouched down. Her breathing became ragged. She imagined Adam kissing that clumsy, to put it mildly, cook. A lump formed in her throat. She fought back tears and focused on her breathing. She couldn't cry now, it wasn't the time. She needed to be strong, like Scarlett O'Hara. She would stand up calmly, approach the flower bed with the purple violets, retrieve the package with the jewels, and leave the same way she came. She took another breath and was about to stand up when Rita approached the window. For a moment, Luisa thought she was losing her mind. But no, it was her dress, a blue summer dress of loose cut that she had brought from Milan last year. There could be no other like it. Luisa stared open-mouthed in confusion. Rita seemed not to see her, she was lost in some distant thought. Murderer, Luisa whispered. Damn murderer, and a thief too. Rita's hair was styled exactly as Luisa used to do it, pinned up from underneath. This just couldn't be. She stole my life, my husband, my house, and now even my dress. For a moment, Luisa found it amusing. She imagined turning Rita into a voodoo doll and sticking pins into her. No, of course, she wasn't going to do that, but she couldn't just leave things as they were either. She was no longer Luisa, she was Lily. That would help her not give in to her emotions. I'm Lily Berg, and I need to retrieve Luisa's jewels from the flower bed. It will help me and Ted start a new life. Ted is a good person and doesn't deserve death either. So, enough with the emotions, it's time to act. Lily waited for Rita to move away from the window, then quickly stood up and ran toward the flower bed. Fortunately, the package, wrapped in an envelope, was still there. Lily nodded in satisfaction. "Thank you, Louisa, you were a very prudent woman, and your housekeeper wasn't. And she'll pay for what she's done, I promise you that." Lily turned to run but was suddenly confronted by Adam at the gate. Lily hid the envelope behind her back and waved cheerfully. Then she bent down and began brushing the dirt off the flower bed. Her dark glasses fell right into the flower bed. "Oh God," she whispered. "But why now?" Lily hoped to pass as a servant. Adam seemed to hesitate but didn't approach. Well, of course, almost all the servants wore black and white dresses, all except the gardeners. But who knew why a servant might be out in the yard? Adam headed toward the door. "Looks like I got away with it," Lily whispered to herself. "Good job, Lily." She folded the envelope in half and hid it in her dress. Now she had to figure out how to leave unnoticed, but she needed to wait until Adam went inside. And he still wasn't going in. Approaching the house, Adam bent down and picked the biggest new rose. Lily's heart pounded furiously. She felt as if she were dead. And look, she nearly fainted but managed to stay on her feet. Rita was waiting for him at the entrance, looking as if she had always lived there. Lily watched them surreptitiously. Adam embraced Rita around the waist and kissed her. She smelled the rose and said something. Unfortunately, Lily couldn't hear what exactly, but she clearly heard Adam's words. "Don't worry, everything will be all right, everything will be all right." And this is from the man who had sent his wife to her death just a day ago. Rita was saying something again. No matter how hard Lily tried, she couldn't make out a word, but again she heard Adam say, "This will never happen again." Adam wasn't spending the night at home. What a twist. "Well," Lily hissed angrily, "the window will be the last thing you'll hear from the deceived Luisa Martinez. Welcome to hell, Rita, that your new, baked husband will prepare for you. And I'll do everything I can to assist." "I was already scared that you'd been caught," Ted exclaimed nervously. "No, Teddy Bear, you can't take me with bare hands now. Scientists. It's clear enough, but I was really scared. By the way, what about your trinkets?" "They're safe," Lily beamed. "So now we're free. I'll generously reward you for saving my worthless life." Ted sighed heavily. He felt awkward about yesterday. "I know what you're thinking right now. Don't, you hear? I don't want you to be tormented by guilt for the rest of your life." Well, forgetting such things is not that easy, no matter what. It will be. We're starting new lives, yours and mine. We'll get to Los Angeles, breathe the air of freedom, and that's the end of it. You say the documents will be ready by Wednesday? Yes, I really hope so. So do I. Because I can't wait to get out of here. You know, I've never been to California. Have you, Teddy Bear? No, never. They went back into the house, and as dusk began to fall, Ted's phone rang so abruptly that he nearly toppled from the soft leather chair. Who could it be? You changed your number. It's an unfamiliar number. Possibly information about the documents. Ted shrugged and answered the call. He spoke in short, disjointed sentences. It was clear he was very nervous. After a few minutes, the conversation ended. Lily, who was sipping coffee with cream, looked at him questioningly. "You're burning a hole through me," Ted laughed. "Don't keep me in suspense. Is this really about the documents? If all goes well, we can leave on Tuesday." Perfect. By the way, What about the rings and chains? Just some junk. Junk, of course, but very expensive junk. Lily smirked. She hadn't yet managed to take the jewelry out of the top of her dress. Turn around, Ted, she grinned. She recalled again how he had seen her naked and cursed silently. Would she have to remember this awkward moment for the rest of her life? Lily poured 3 pairs of earrings, 2 rings, a large white bracelet, and a necklace with a pendant onto the table. It looked unimpressive. She carefully picked up the necklace. Well, there are diamonds here, Ted clarified. This is a very valuable piece of jewelry. Is that all? That's all, Teddy Bear, Ted confirmed, sounding somewhat disappointed. Did you expect me to bring a sack of diamonds? No, I cut it down. Ted, I just thought that if you're taking risks, it would be something more serious than this. For anything bigger, I'd have to break into the house. I can't take that kind of risk. Of course not. I understand, it's not a fortune, but it's worth something. I think I'll go get some sleep, Lily said. The night was heavy. Ted forced a smile and nodded as he went upstairs. Lily knew she wouldn't be able to sleep. She kept examining the jewelry. Whether she would be able to sell it was a complicated question. It was valuable, and her grandmother would certainly not have minded parting with her earrings to support her granddaughter's new life. But Lily felt that this was wrong. She stepped outside. The house was enclosed by a high brick wall. Flanking the wall were charming stone turrets, typical of the roofs in the old parts of European cities. She couldn't stop thinking about Adam and how he could trade her for Rita, a quiet, awkward woman with a dull bun on her head and a timid gaze. And now her rival? How was that even possible? Now that's good, Ted said with satisfaction. Now even your own mother wouldn't recognize you. Lily looked at herself in the mirror, as if getting used to her new appearance, light, almost white curls, brown lenses obscuring the natural piercing green of her own eyes. Or rather, Luis's eyes. She didn't know if she wanted to be someone so completely foreign. She was utterly confused. I really like it. I like your new haircut too, Teddy Bear, she teased. With his black curls, Teddy looked much better, though as he himself said, a rogue can pull off anything. And our new haircut was good, and it's easier for men to change their appearance. Don't you want to become a blonde? No way. I've had enough stress for one day. Let's go, I'll show you my favorite pizzeria. Otherwise, you might leave town without trying my favorite bolognese. They sat down in the pizzeria. Lily gazed out the window at her new life. They were supposed to leave the day after tomorrow. According to Ted, a grand ceremony for her funeral had taken place yesterday. Contrary to Lily's wishes, Ted had refused to take her to her own funeral, or rather, Louise's funeral. It would have been too dangerous. However, he had agreed to describe in detail how it all went. Yesterday he had met Adam for the last time. He promised to give him another 5 days. Giving Adam 10 days would be suspicious. An attempt on Ted was supposed to happen soon, so the morning after tomorrow, right after receiving the new documents, the newly minted Lily Berg and Ted Watson were supposed to leave the city. And who is this woman, Lily Berg? I mean the original person, not me. Or did she never actually exist? She very much did exist. She is the woman from the slums who was buried in your place. However, she said, shivering, you're attaching too much importance to this. Lily Berg could have been anyone, but she was a homeless woman. Life circumstances vary. How do you like the pizza? It's magical. I've never had anything like it. Ted looked at Lily with his piercing, radiant brown eyes, and she hesitated to ask her question. Did you want to ask something? Lily, please, go on. Since you started, it must be important. We can't keep secrets from each other, otherwise, we won't make it. Did you want to share a secret with me? Lily sighed heavily. She felt a pang in her heart. Of course, she wanted to share a lot with him, even how she had lived with Adam. Teddy, who had become her friend in such a short time, was a source of support, but opening up to a somewhat unfamiliar, though important to her, person was difficult. So, she handed him a candy wrapper. I believe that one day I'll reveal all my secrets to you when we get to Los Angeles. We'll never see each other again. I hope otherwise. I really like you, Lily. I like you too, Teddy Bear. Do you like me as a person or as a man? As a friend. As for men, I'll be cautious for now, you know what I mean? He grimaced. His double espresso was too strong, and he choked, asking for a piece of ice. You could have just had some water. Some people drink cold water with their coffee. You know, the difference in temperature and all that. I know. I always thought that was a girl thing. And that's what I'm talking about, Lily shrugged and winked at him. And you're quite cheeky when you relax. Oh, definitely. But you know, Teddy Bear, it wasn't much fun for that woman Louise Martinez in the fridge. They both burst into laughter. It felt like Lily had truly relaxed for the first time in days. Although it was still too early to relax. They needed to get to Los Angeles, taking along a pathologist with a shaved head. She laughed again, with a bright, lively laugh. Ted smiled in confusion. I'm just thinking out loud, she said, ignoring his look. Anyway, I'll try. Though, to be honest, I'm dying of curiosity about what could have amused you so much. I really want to take one last look at my house. Let's drive down Domina Street one more time. Criminals are always drawn to the scene of the crime, that's for sure. Or maybe not, Lily replied. I'd rather not, of course, but I know it's pointless to talk you out of it. You've managed to get to know me pretty well. That's true. One thing I ask, let's not leave the car in the driveway. Let's do it like last time. The drive down Domina Street took just 10 minutes. Lily's heart was pounding like crazy. She debated whether to stop by the cemetery to see how her grave looked, but decided against it. Wait for me here, she asked. Don't take too long. He grabbed her hand and kissed the tips of her fingers. Lily was a bit surprised and smiled back at him. Could it be that something worthwhile was finally emerging in her life? Could she fall for the former pathologist? Who knows? Maybe he'll continue practicing. What's stopping him from doing that in Los Angeles? But what about Adam, despite the hatred? She still loved him. No, she told herself, my man won't be a pathologist. She scolded herself for these thoughts. Lily imagined how much time Ted had spent studying medicine. How could she think that way? Berg hissed at herself, you're just a snob. All professions deserve respect, especially those related to medicine. Lily exhaled and pressed the intercom button. Fortunately, no one seemed to be home. Absolutely no one. Could Adam and Rita have left? What else had she forgotten in this house? Lily wasn't even sure herself. She needed to retrieve the glasses she had hastily left in the flower bed. It was foolish to put herself at risk like this, but she couldn't just leave. She was still plotting revenge when she suddenly remembered that Rita was pregnant, and all her anger dissipated in an instant. The child shouldn't suffer for the sins of its parents. The glasses continued to wait for her in the flower bed. Lily grabbed them and put them in the small patent leather handbag hanging on her shoulder. She tried to resist the temptation as she passed the flower bed where they always left the spare house key, but couldn't. It was hard to just walk past the house where she had lived for 20 years. There was no one on the premises. Lily skillfully avoided 2 cameras. She knew exactly where she could go and where she shouldn't. There they were, Lily said to herself with satisfaction. Turn the key with your fingers. Like a pro, she unlocked the door and went inside. Right in front of the entrance, on the wall, was a huge painting. It depicted 2 embracing figures. Despite the fact that the figures were shown in profile, it was immediately clear who they were: a tall, handsome brunette and a woman in a blue dress. And it wasn't Louise, it was Rita in her dress. Lily stifled a scream of rage. She grabbed a decanter with red liquid from the table and, in a fit of fury, threw it at the painting. An enormous red stain instantly spread across the canvas, dragging along the blue paint of the dress worn by the woman depicted in it. Enough! Why did you do this? Lily saw Adam standing in the doorway. She froze in surprise, her mouth open. Why did you do this? He repeated his question as if he knew her. But how could he know her? She looked completely different now. Lily ran up to Adam, struck him on the head with a shard of the decanter, and fled outside. On the doorstep, she looked back and saw a thin stream of blood running down Adam's face. He was staring at her wide-eyed. His face showed mixed emotions: fear, surprise, hatred, love. No, she must have been mistaken. What love could there be? He knows everything, she blurted out as she got into the car. Who knows everything? My husband, Adam. He saw me. I just got a call, our documents will be ready in a couple of hours. But he saw me? Don't you understand? He will be looking for us. No, he will be looking for Diego Hicks and Luis Martinez. Lily exhaled loudly. There was one last thing to do. You need to visit your father. Let's go now. Lily nodded. Tears streamed down her face. At the hospital, they were greeted by a familiar nurse. How are you, Mrs. Martinez? It doesn't matter, replied Louise. You look like, how do you feel? I'm fine. Mirabelle took her hand and carefully led her along. Ted walked beside them. My dad? Better tell me how he's doing? Mirabelle fell silent and led Louise to the office of the attending physician. Is something wrong with my dad? Answer me. You should speak with your doctor, Mrs. Martinez. What does all this mean? I don't understand. In the office sat a hunched man in a white medical coat. He smiled upon seeing her. Mrs. Martinez, it's been a while. I'm sorry your treatment hasn't yielded positive results yet, but I haven't lost hope. Dad, please, come to your senses, it's me, your daughter. Louise turned around and saw Adam in the doorway. Ted had disappeared somewhere, and Adam. What are you doing here? Don't come near me. Louise shielded her father with her body. Don't come near us, do you hear? Rita, darling, calm down, no one means you any harm. Father, what does all this mean? The floor seemed to give way beneath her feet. She breathed heavily and suddenly felt a sharp sting in her shoulder, and her whole body went limp. A few minutes later, she woke up tied to a hospital bed. Adam and a man in a white coat stood beside her. Where's my father? Adam sat on the edge of the bed. His eyes were moist. Murderer, Louise hissed through her teeth. Mrs. Martinez, do you remember your name? The doctor spoke softly, holding a small flashlight with which he examined her pupils. My name is Louise Martinez, Louise replied defiantly, turning her face toward the window. Her name is Rita Martinez, Adam suddenly interjected. I remember all my patients well, the doctor said. Rita, I am not your father. Your father died in a car accident 6 months ago. Louise looked up at him. Is that true? She looked at Adam. Adam nodded. My name is Rita Martinez. I was your housekeeper. Adam smiled. Your name is Rita, and you were my housekeeper. But that was a long time ago. You have dissociative identity disorder. You escaped from our clinic a few days ago, the doctor explained. And the morgue? Louise exclaimed. I don't understand. Morgue was just your imagination. All our patients are alive. They were simply asleep, the man in the white coat smirked. Am I going crazy? Not exactly. This can happen when a person experiences intense stress or trauma. You were in shock, but we'll work through this. Do you believe me? Rita nodded. She wasn't entirely sure, but what else could she do? And Diego, or rather, that person, the nurse asked. You assaulted him and made him release you from the clinic. Over the phone, I instructed him to play along with you. I thought it would help you cope with the stress. We set up a little performance for you involving several people, Ted Watson, your husband Adam, and your daughter Cecile. She played the role of your housekeeper that you told Ted about. My daughter. Rita clutched her head. She has a daughter who looks just like her. Cecile. How could I have forgotten about my child? Rita began to cry. It was Cecile who was depicted with Adam in that painting in their house. Why did she sob? Why is it Watson? At first, he identified himself as Diego. The story of Diego and the unfaithful husband, the murderer, was a creation of your imagination. You were just tired of responding to a different name, and he invented a story about changing documents. Then why did I become Lily Berg? Lily Berg is one of your alters. Oh God, what's happening to me? Unstrap my wife, Adam requested. Mr. Martinez, this might be unsafe. My daughter Cecile is waiting to see her. I don't want her to see her like this. The doctor unfastened the straps holding Rita's arms, and she gratefully rubbed her sore wrists. Thank you, she muttered. Cecile entered the room carrying a huge bouquet of white roses. Everything will be all right now, she said, and they embraced each other. I love you so much, Adam whispered. Rita felt her white shirt become soaked with hot tears. Cecile. She suddenly remembered her as a child, remembered bathing her in the warm southern sea somewhere far away. Salty water had slipped from her hands and got into Cecile's eyes, making her cry the same hot tears. Yes, everything will be all right now, Rita whispered. Mom, get well soon. Do you remember the story of when I was bathing with Cecile in the sea and she slipped from my hands? Or is this just my imagination playing tricks on me again? Yes, Mom, we remember that story, Cecile began, blushing. But it wasn't me, it was Tess, my twin sister. She died along with Grandpa. You don't remember. Mom doesn't remember, Adam stroked Rita's head. The doctor said that her memory blocked out part of the memories that day. You lost the child. You were pregnant. Rita was astonished as all the pieces in her head fell into place. She cried bitterly. She suddenly recalled that terrible evening when she received a call from the morgue informing her that her father and Tess were dead. She and Adam went to the morgue. Rita screamed and cried, blaming Adam for everything, who had insisted on a weekend test for her father, thinking that Grandpa was lonely in his big house. Then the sudden bleeding and loss of the baby that night. Forgive me, Rita, she sobbed aloud. You're not to blame for anything. No one is to blame, said Adam. It was an accident. Cecile sighed heavily, got up from the bed, and took a large silver vase from her bag, placing the flowers inside. I was forbidden from bringing flowers here, but I didn't know what else might make you happy. Mom, thank you, darling. And I'm sorry for everything. There's nothing to forgive, Cecile said. Mom, I have a proposal, Adam began. Since your memory is starting to come back, after you're discharged, we'll go to Los Angeles. You've been so eager to go there. Besides, there's a branch of my company there. If we like it, we can move there and start a new life. Agreed in unison by Rita and Cecile.